And I'll be your host today. Today, I have Stanley Henry here from The Attention Seeker, and we're going to be talking about Milanote. Well, or is it Milanote? I bet it's Milanote.
Yeah.
It sounds so Italian. So this is all about how to manage your content for projects. You could use it as an organizational tool. Lots of times we use tools in various different ways, depending on what we need. It's not a one size fits all for everything. You can always pick and choose to use tools in different ways if it works for you. There's a saying that I always say at my pottery school, Stanley, and it's like, it's not wrong if it works for you.
100%. Yep. Yep.
So
I remember I had some friends from school that said, if you can chopsticks, they work if you can get the food to your mouth. So however you chopsticks, as long as the food gets to your mouth, you're using them right.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not starving, we're all good. Yeah. I've seen some interesting methodology with chopsticks actually in my day. So I'm really looking forward to this session. And it is actually, I realized it is our last session with you for the year.
Oh, wow. Gosh, better make it a good one.
Yeah, I know. Well, look, no pressure.
Pressure's on, yeah.
Yeah, just saying. So we've been super fortunate to have not only Stanley, but a number of the members of his team, past and present, that have joined us here on Digital Boost over the past 2 years, since we've been going since January 2021. Right. So we've been very fortunate to have lots of content from you and your team. And today we're going to run one more session. So that's pretty cool. It is kind of a little bit of a marker to say, how fast is this year going?
Wow,
right?
Right. Yeah. It's a run into Christmas now.
I know. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
so I will let you crack on and get into what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and open up the chats because I know lots of folks, that's how they tune in with us some of the Tuesday session. And let's kick off.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everyone. So as Anamari said, my name is Stanley Henry, and I own and run a company called The Attention Seeker, and we are a personal branding agency. And so we help people take their reputation and scale it online, creating content for them and just bringing their personal brand online, which helps them, with your reputation in person. Is a lot of business grow that way, right? Through referrals and things like that. And we just take that, scale it online. And one of the tools that we use to do that, one of our main tools that we work with is this tool we're going to go through today, which is called Milanote. And look, there's plenty of project management tools out there. They're all great. They're, you got to find the one that works for you, just like we just talked about. The reason why we went with Milanote is that our business is very creative. We have a lot of content. There's a lot of imagery, a lot of text, a lot of video, and a lot of links as well for when we're doing research. And this particular Milanote is really good for that, for showing that. And I'll show you some of that today. So what I'll do is I will get my screen up and I'll share my screen and we'll take you through the boards. So hang on.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I can see it.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now, if you do some writing or anything, you might need to make it a bit bigger, but
I'll zoom in like that.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So this is what it looks like when you first log into it. It's pretty blank, doesn't have a whole lot on it. But as you can see on the side here, it's got a whole bunch of little functions you can use. And then there's templates. So there's this little template board here. And this template board is one of the best features of Milanote, because a lot of time you get these project management tools and you're like, I don't really know what to do. How do I use it? What's the best way to use it? And then you have to sort of get a degree in the program that you're using just to be able to use the software that you use. But the best thing about Milanote is it comes with just a crap ton of great templates. So for instance, if I click on this one here, Agency Hub. So imagine you're an agency and it just populates this thing here. And it's like a template you can sort of scroll through and have a look at, right? So it's got all the what's the agency, so a bit about the brand, client accounts, operations and guides, departments. That's one thing. That could be say your home screen, I guess, for your agency. And then under each client, you could have a different thing, right? So you might want a mood board. All right, so here's your mood board, and see, as you can see with the images, how visual it is and how aesthetic, I guess, it is. So it's quite good for, sort of those creative sort of projects because you can see everything really nice. And if we then look at, so like advertising brief, right? So it's got all these different things, and then it goes even further. So see, these are them all here, all the different stuff. So we might go through a few of these now just to let people see, because there's probably a bunch of different people on this call are going to watch it, and we'll just go through a few. So whatever your business is, there might be a solution for you. And I won't go too deep in each one just to start with. I'll just show you high level what they look like. And then I'll start to break down all the features. And then after that, we'll go through a little bit how we use it for some of our stuff and for content creation. So as I said, for agencies, so obviously this is a really good one, a good thing for us. So there's like storyboards, it might be storyboarding a video shoot. A good way to sort of do that. A brand positioning map, just different sort of where do you sit amongst all your competitors. There's team planners, campaign briefs, real good way to put a brief together for a client if you're sending it off to them. A logo project plan if, you're designing logos for people. So that's the agency world. Same with creative directions, pretty similar. Different things here. So mood board, storyboard, advertiser brief, all similar, pretty similar stuff. Game design. So, I don't know how many game developers are on the call, but character profiles, level design. And I guess the thing about talking about this is that, this might be game design, but, if you're writing a novel or, you're developing any sort of world for content or whatever, it's all sort of a similar concept. Graphic design. Some of the ones we've already seen, they've obviously been doubled up. We can get into management and strategy. So what's target audience? This is little personas as well. Team structure, so you can have it as sort of like your, what's it called? Your bloody team org chart. Porter's 5 forces, so different models that people have, so models that people use in leadership and management things. They've got sort of ones built in here that you can use. What else have we got in here that's slightly different? Podcasting. So this is quite good for, we've talked about podcasts before on this Digital Boost. So if you're trying to plan one, there's a show plan, episode plans. I know I'm going a bit fast, but you can always watch this video back to get a little bit better look. It's just really for inspiration. Podcast outline, podcast research, so it's makes it really easy. And then product design. So, so websites, user experience, storyboards, and these are all drawn in here, website ideas, things like that. So that's just real brief into, what's available on this platform.
Quite amazing, really, Stanley.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is our one. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can sort of see the scale of ours. So this is what our one has all our clients and whatnot. And so there's a bunch in there. There's a bunch, all the guys in the team have one, and we're just in a blank one here. Yeah, so it is quite amazing. Like there's a lot in there, and the templates like they offer a lot of inspiration of where to start, because looking at a blank board like this, it's pretty hard. What is it? And so what we'll do now is, I know those templates are quite interesting to look at and whatnot, but let me just close this task list.
Yep, and I can see that there's a message there from Tanya saying, "Hey, so fast with pages." Yeah, we're gonna go into one now. That was just a little bit of an overview, so you could see the scale of things, and then I think Stanley's going to go in so you can actually check it out.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks for that. So, yep, that was just an overview, just to get some inspiration on what there is. We will go and open some of those boards. I just want to go through the functions, and then we'll open up some of the boards. So, the whole platform is built on these things called boards. So if we drag one out from the side here, let me just do that again so we're all on the same page. So over here on the left, we've got all these functions. This one in blue is obviously the main one, so boards. The whole concept of Milanote is built on boards. So, you have a new board, sits in here like this. And then from this board, you can You can choose an icon for it if you want to, and whatever. There's all the customizational stuff, so you can make it look pretty and until the things you want it to do, right? But the whole Milanote is built off this idea of boards. And so we were already in a board called Digital Boost up the top here. And we've just created a new board, right? And as you click into that, if we double click, it takes us to that board, right? And then the template thing comes up and we can choose a template. So we can then add in the mood board, right? And we can create this from scratch. It'll take out all the content, and now it just gives us the blank template to use, right? So boards is a key part of Milanote. So just remember that boards, if I use the word board, this is what I'm referring to. And then we've got all these different functions you can use. So note, so that's obviously just like, here is a note, right? So these you can keep going, write more on. They can change size. You can make them bigger, smaller, whatever you need. You can also customize them. So they've got text styles. We can make bold text, all that sort of stuff, make it a list, strike throughs and whatever. You can also add different colors. So you can make it red, but you can also add a top strip. So if you wanted to, let me undo that a bit. If you wanted to, instead of coloring the whole board, you could just color the top strip, and that way you can have some color coded systems as well, again making it real visual and easy to use. So that's notes. Next is links. So why don't I just grab a link? I just type in our website, so you can put in the link there, and what it'll do, it'll sort of load it and give you give you a little preview of it. So there you go. So it's all jumped in now. A little preview of the website and photos and whatever. So quite good too when you're doing research and you're finding competitors, or you're finding other brands that are similar, or research whatever you're doing. You can just throw the link straight in. Gives you this really nice visual look. You can then edit this description. So it's just pulled out the description straight off the website, but you can edit that as well if you want to write something else. And there's colors, you can change colors again, all that sort of stuff. So I won't go into too much detail there. To-do lists, so, task 1, task 2 sort of thing, or task E, whatever. And so, the list, new list. So there you go. So task list, this is quite good because, you can tick them off. The other good thing with task list is you can assign it. So see, I can assign that to Shan. She can just get a notification that she's got some work to do. So you can assign people tasks from inside your team, which is really great. And then lines.
Stanley, do you mind? Yeah. We do have some folks that are using the captions, the closed captions and stuff to follow along with our
okay.
So if you can slow down just speaking a little bit, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
That's okay. I'll do my best. So next thing is lines, and show a new board on new list. Okay. He said it helps if you can show a new board on new list. Okay. So these lines, what's really good about these is that they do a whole bunch of things. So one, you can connect things. So like, see how it highlights it. If I drop that into it while it's highlighted, it's now part of this, so it sort of moves with it. And I can connect two things, so they're now connected, right? So you can imagine that you can have like a flow diagram, or like an order of operations, or whatever that might be, and with that, you can connect these things so they're always permanently sort of linked. You can also just use lines as separators. So if I had this here, I can use this to separate out sections, and you can I can take off the end, so it's not an arrow anymore. I can label it if it needs something, things like that. So lines. Under here, then we've got all these ones too. So we've got columns. Columns are a really important one. So columns help with organization. So if I take this link here that we have, and I put it into this column, and you can see it highlights, and I drop it in, it's now stamped to that, and it fits inside this little column that we have. And so it helps you keep everything really organized. And I can throw everything in here, so I can do this. So now we have this column that can be collapsed and opened with all our stuff. So you can start to see how that would be really good for organization. You can put that there. This is one column with everything in it. Yeah. Comments are good for when you're communicating with your team. So you can add in there, and you can say, hey, how are you, sort of thing. And you can tag, so you can go at, click someone and hit send, and it'll give them a notification that that there's something in their board that they need to see. And they can have a reply and have a big chat with you. There's sketch. So, this can be, really, really good, especially if you've got a touch, touch device. Yeah, you can draw on an iPad, phone, whatever it might be. So there are apps for all the different devices as well. And obviously all the normal things that you'd get in terms of customization for that. Colors are really good for branding people who want to be able to put their color in here for different reasons. This is a real visual, so ours is F15, F49. So, get a little thing for your color so you know what it looks like, and branding and whatnot. Documents, so, new document. This here is essentially a Word document. So if you double click into it, it goes to a full editor, and you can start typing in it like that. It's got all the same textiles and stuff. And then you can export that as a Word doc, PDF, however you might want it to be as well. So quite a cool little feature there. And you can chuck that in. Audio. So this here is from Spotify or SoundCloud. So what I might do is I'll just show you how that works real quick. I'll go grab a Spotify link to show you how it works, because it's quite cool actually. Give me 2 seconds. Share, copy episode link, put that in. And there. So quick little, you got the little thing, you can push play on it. Oh, it's not moving for some reason. Oh, there we go. So you can hit play on it as well. It'll start playing. So again, real visual, I don't know if for anyone else here, but for us, it's just like a really good way of putting a lot of stuff in when you're researching, or you're creating a brand, or you're creating a marketing strategy, or whatever it might be that you're trying to put together and get inspiration. You can just have it all there, right? You're not having to click off into other platforms. You're not having to go to Spotify to listen to the thing that you wanted to be able to show to a client or show to a team member. It's right there. It's ready to use. Same thing with, this is going to probably break my computer, but same thing when you do TikToks. So there's really good ways of showcasing, like a video or TikTok or YouTube and stuff like that. It does a similar thing where you put it in and you can just play it right there in the Milanote itself. Next, we've got maps. So again, paste the link from a map. So I'll do that as well. It again brings you up this little space. So give me 2 seconds and I'll grab that link. Directions. Gosh, now I forget how to grab a link. Oh. Instead of boring you trying to figure this out, I'll just let you use your imagination. Oh, maybe that one there. See if this works. Oh yeah, there we go. So there, it's got the map, attention seeker, where we are, and again in there. And lastly, video. So again, pasting something from YouTube. So share, copy. I think as you can see, I think you get the gist of that. It's like a real visual way of telling the stuff. And again, everything can be used inside this. Like it's not like it's a, it's not fixed. It's not just some static copy paste pictures of stuff. It's actually like a real full on usable thing. I'm just, Sean's wondering why I'm tagging her. I'm just, you're the first, she's the first name up. She's just giving me a funny look. So that's all those sorts of things. So as you can sort of see, and there's headings, pretty self-explanatory what a heading is. Add images, upload, and draw. So these are a couple other features. So drawing actually draws on the board, right? So this is a slightly different from a sketch because it's now just purely on the board, right? So that's another way. Uploading is uploading documents and adding images. Easy to see, more board. Okay. Oh, it's more of a comment than a question, is it? What I'll do is I'll show you what happens too when you drag in a Word document. So this is a Word document that I have on my computer. And so you can just drag them in as files. and I'll let that upload. And then while we're there, I'll also, so you can see here, it's got this Word document. Our screen's getting a little bit messy now. And so that's there. And so, if you've got things that are built in other programs, you can throw them all in. It makes things really easy for you. And then what I'll do is I will go and grab, does it allow calendars? No. Nah, it doesn't actually allow calendars in there as such. They're a little bit different the way it uses it. But it does, what was I going to say? So you can tag people and things, but it doesn't sync with like Outlook or anything like that. So that is one thing that we would like, and they haven't got it on their roadmap, but hopefully we'll see how it goes. Here's a PDF if you throw a PDF in, because it is slightly different to what happens with a PDF. So I'll let that just log in. Oh yeah, there we go. So as you can see, it sort of gives you a view of it as a welcome. And then if you double click on it, it sort of opens up the full PDF, so you can sort of scroll through it. So we won't go through that one, but as you can see down the side, it's got all the stuff. So you can use the PDF right through completely as you would normally, right? So all of that sort of stuff is in it. Those are all the features. I'm going to delete all of that because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for anyone. But I wanted to start there because there's so much in it, and I just wanted to show all of it so you get a good inspiration of where it is, and then we'll take you through how we actually use this now.
Yeah, cool. That'd be great. And yeah, because I guess like some folks are wondering about the scheduling element of things. So
Yeah.
that would be interesting to know. There was a question here about podcast and useful for video creators. And so do you use this? I mean, you guys have a podcast, you do a lot of videos. I would assume you use them in the same ways with a different template, maybe a storyboard or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. So like any piece of creative that we make, we'll use this for. And so for podcasts, it's perfect because you can do podcast planning, podcast episodes, you can have a timeline, you can have a strategy, marketing plan, whatever it might be. You can have a storyboard for every episode, you can have a research for every episode and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, again, there's a whole range of templates for podcasts, as we sort of saw before under podcasting. So I'll zoom back into that again. Sorry, I zoomed out. So there's a whole bunch there, and they're all great. Like if we just have a look at the show plan, I'll just zoom out a little bit. It gives you ideas of what you need to do, right? Because you might not know how to plan a podcast, and this is telling you how to do it. This is what they think is a great way to do that.
And so there's kind of a question here about shareability, and because obviously you'd want to keep some things internal within the team or just yourself, and then share things externally. It says, is it possible to share only one board to external users rather than everything? Great question, Jeanette.
Yeah, definitely, Jeanette. So every board itself, every time you go into a new board, the share button only applies to that board and any boards below it. So something you have to be mindful of is if you've got boards, like if you're going to share a board, any board that's inside that board, if that makes sense, is also available. So if I share this particular board with anyone, because there's nothing in it, they'll just see this one. If I go back and share Digital Boost board and I share this one, they'll also be able to access this new board. So it's just something to consider. So when we share stuff with external people, we just got to be careful that what we're sharing isn't too much information for them. It's not what they don't need, and that they can't get. So you make it, they can't get back up a level. So see the levels up there, they won't be able to get back into the attention seeker folder, but they'll definitely get into that. So all our clients get access to their whole client board. And everything in that. So all the work that we do is all inside that board for them, and they can all have it. And there's a couple of ways to share it too. So you can either make them an editor, which is on the left-hand side. We don't tend to do this with clients because I don't know how many have you ever shared stuff with clients, but once they get in it, they'll have a tutu and start playing with it, and everything will go everywhere.
And then you're going to find the latest version, the recent version before that. Yeah,
exactly. So absolutely. Give editing control over to people, but The enable read-only link is the perfect way to do it when you're sending it to external people. So you can allow comments, reactions, and drawings. So that's really good. So they can comment to stuff and react to it and engage with the content. They just can't edit anything in there. You can set welcome messages, passwords, all that sort of stuff, just for security reasons, so that they can't just, so no one can intercept the link unless they have the password as well. And you can obviously have a team. So there's team plans and stuff like that. So we have all of our team inside of it as well, and they can access everything as well. Let me just close that one out. So yeah, sharing's great, and there's also exporting as well. So let me just go into that, turn this off. You can export as well, so you can export it as a PDF and everything as well as like Word documents and that. So sometimes you might want to share it with them, but they don't want to have to open up this Milanote board or whatever. They just want a PDF version of it. So you can just export a PDF and send it to them as well. And then sometimes that works really well, especially for people who, don't want the hassle of having to go on to this website and do all the stuff. They just want to be on their phone and open it and don't want to have to download an app or anything on their phone. So multiple ways that you can send it to them. So which is quite cool as well. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll show you a few of our templates. So probably our main one is this client board template. So this is one we use for, what did I do? I clicked the wrong button. This is one we use for almost all our clients when they're starting. Oh gosh, decided not to play ball with me. Give me a second. Let's create a new board. Try it there. It's probably telling me off because I've done too much. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So this is our client board template. So every client starts off with this template with us. And then we alter it depending on the client. So we've got obviously a different checklist and whatnot. And so we have this tool as well, unlock and locking stuff, which works really well for keeping everything in order so people don't do this and start moving things around. Because once your board gets messed up, I mean, that's it, it's done. You'll never never get it back. But I want to show you through how we do it. So client's web presence. So I'll give you a quick run through of our board, because this isn't the main thing. We want to talk about content creation. So I'll just give you a quick one. So we do some research. So if this is you and you're doing something yourself, you might want to put all your links to all your different LinkedIn page, Facebook page, all that sort of stuff. What are the to-do lists that you need to do? What are the goals? What are the campaign aims? What are you trying to get done? We then have these two, discovery and strategy. So we do our discovery and we do our strategy with our client. And you might want some form of strategy board as well for your content planning. What's the strategy I'm going to take for this? And then in our create board, we have a bunch of different boards with different types of content that we might create. But one that might be good, and we've kind of gone through this one last time, is we have this core pillars and conversation topics. So this is our content planner that we have. And we've talked about core pillars and conversation topics in a previous digital boost, which you can go through and look. But essentially we'd write the core pillar up here and we'd write all our conversation topics. So just a real quick recap on that. Core pillars, your core values, your core themes around your business and your brand. The conversation topic is a topic or a conversation that you want to have around that particular core pillar. And so they're just 4 or 5 different ways you want to speak about that core value. And that's how we define it anyway. And so we have a board for each of them. And then down here, we've got sort of, this is our calendar, as you can imagine. So we actually use this not as our scheduler. We use this as our way of creating content, because there's multiple people for us, getting in this. There's the photos, the videos, the writing, and all that sort of stuff, and the creative direction on top. So we have, everyone can start to populate these little tabs with all the text, right? So you can imagine people can start, like this could have the caption for the video, and then the video could be thrown in here, right? And so you can visually see the video and the caption. And so to give you a little example of what that looks like, I'll go grab a quick little photo. Let's probably just grab a photo. What's this one here? Give me a second. So if I go grab a photo from one of our shoots recently, you get this sort of look. If I bring that to front, so we've got our picture and we've got the caption to go with it, right? So it's a real visual way of jumping in and having a look. And so if you're a client and you're sending this to a client for approval, they can jump in, cool, Monday, I've got the caption, I know what photo is going to go with it. And you can imagine swapping that photo out for video or whatever, right? So really, like, this is how we plan and assemble everything, because there's multiple people working on it. You might just want to have your scheduler separate to this. And instead of putting it into here, you just go straight to a scheduler. If it's just you or maybe one other person who works on your content plan. For us, this makes sense because there's different people, different places working on it all the time. One central space before it goes into the scheduler. So we make sure that there isn't any issues before it goes there. We can also have the client in here approving stuff, right? So they can go in and add comments. So you might want to put your scheduler somewhere else. But this top part, this is how we use it. Majority of the time, we're using it in something like this form in our content planners, right? So this is our way of doing that. And so if you click into each one of these, so conversation topic, click in, we have this board. So I'll zoom out just to show you the scale of it and then how we use it. And you would have seen, if you watched some of our previous videos, and if you haven't, go back and watch them, why we do it this way. So first of all, conversation topic, what is it? Explain it. So we start to talk about, like, we define what that conversation topic looks like. So, what are we trying to say inside of this, or what does the client mean? And there's some questions there just to prompt us. So what is the pain point? What is the challenge? What is the client solution? And what is their strong opinion? And then these boards underneath, which might look a little weird, they are headings for headlines. So what I mean by that is every video or every piece of text has a hook at the start of it, right? Has a headline, has something that catches people's attention and brings them into the story. And so we spend a lot of time like planning and developing these and researching these, because they're a crucial part of any content, right? The first line that you say on a video, or the first line that someone reads on a video, on a text, is just super important for getting them to read the rest of it. And it's so important that we have the whole, like, half, as you can see, half of our content planning board is dedicated just to the headline part of it, right? And then the other half is for the post, so that we put a lot of effort into how do we capture people's attention really fast, and how do we and how can we keep on making them better? And so these titles are just for us, just different ways. So it's an agitating one, an exciting one, inspirational, there's an observational, things like that, just some headings for us. And so I'm sort of stressing on this a little bit, because it's something I find people find really hard with content creation, is like how to start. And if you plan headlines and you really define them and get really good headlines for a topic, and let's say you get 5 to 10 really good headlines, well, you've started. So now you know that headline and you can start to speak to it, and you should only really be creating content you know a lot about. So if you've got a good headline that speaks to a topic, writing a rest of the post from that headline isn't as hard as what it is from starting from zero. So it's often, that's why, one of the reasons why we spend a lot of time on it and concentrate a lot of our board to it. The next stage for us is all our posts. So, we have space to write 10 posts per conversation topic. How you want to do that is for yourself, whatever. But we have these 3 sort of headings. So we've got draft, Grammarly checked, and scheduled. So we use, I don't know if anyone else does, but we use Grammarly for, checking not just grammar, but also spelling and all that sort of stuff. And so everything starts off in draft and read. Someone else will Grammarly check it, and then someone will schedule it as well.
We love Grammarly. Listen, plug for Grammarly. Get it in your computer. It'll save you from making a fool of yourself more than once. I can assure you.
Absolutely. It's just an absolute lifesaver, and it just needs to be used more and more. It's just so good. So we swear by it. Everything has to be run through at least once.
Even if it, you've got to read it yourself, because it will, like, some of the prepositions or things like that, it is an American system, so some of the wording might be a bit strange, but overall I find it catches so many of my little typing things. Like, I often type just you instead of your, and it'll tell you, hey, look, that's not the right word there, and you're like,
Yeah, absolutely. All those little things. It makes you a better writer too. Like, because you start to realize things you don't type that you should, that like you've been doing wrong your whole life and you didn't know. That was
Absolutely. And you can
proper
choose the
grammar.
tone. You
Yep.
can choose the tone register. So if you don't know what that means, guys, that just means that like if you want it to be conversational or you want it to be really academic and formal, you can plug that in as your settings. And what it'll do is it'll read it and it'll make sure that you're hitting that tone register. So that's really quite cool as well. All right, I'll stop going on about Grammarly. The former English teacher just piping in here. Sorry.
Nah, it's great. Yeah, we're big fans of it. You need it. And if you're doing written content a lot, you should definitely use it. I mean, it's not very expensive for what it helps you do. There's obviously other tools out there. Grammarly is just one of the best ones that we've found. So we use this just to start to write our posts, right? So this might be a little more than what everyone needs, but the reason why we try to share this sort of stuff is that it is a lot of people get into this habit of like, oh, I need to come up with new content all the time. They're always trying to think of something new to write. And my advice all the time is that like you shouldn't be changing what you're writing all the time, because you need to be known for something. And so you should be repeating your message all the time. And if you look at a lot of the biggest brands out there, they're always constantly repeating their messaging. And then they start to be known for a certain thing and people start to feel a certain way when they interact with that brand. And so by having core pillars, that's the first stage of that. And that's a pretty, marketing 101 sort of thing when it comes to content, is having some core pillars that your brand sits around. And then underneath that, what we sort of, our way of doing it, and we're not the only one, but our way of doing expanding on that is having these what we call conversation topics, right? Where they're a slightly different way of talking about the core pillar every time, right? So your core pillar might be something broad, like for me, it might be leadership. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go into my board, because we've made a little bit of my one's quite good. So I've got team, entrepreneurship, leadership, personal brand, and books, different things. And then you can go into each one. So we can go into say leadership. Underneath each one, we've got leadership as an art, putting my team first, leading leaders, tough love, focusing on the long game. And as you go into each one, you can see here a lot of them have been post scheduled already. They've gone green, but you have these posts. We've got one here that's been Grammarly checked. And so you can see that there is a bunch of posts being used, and the headline one's a little bit different from my one. We sort of do it slightly different, but it's there. So you can see how we sort of flesh them out, what a conversation topic actually looks like. So fail more than you succeed, etc., etc. So this is core pillars. This is how we use it. And then inside of that, my one is slightly different because it's my content, and I probably shouldn't show you our client stuff, but we would usually put in photos as well. So we'll chuck a photo into that, into this post, and know what we do. With mine, we just schedule it, but you can imagine if it was a client's one, how we would do it. So if we go back into here, so in here, we've got all these conversation topics. So I'm stressing on that a little bit because a lot of people try to always come up with new stuff. And, look, granted, there's a significant amount of conversation topics. There's 25, but, anywhere from 10 to 25 is a good number. I know it's a pretty big range, but having a set amount, figuring them out, and then defining them in each one. And once they're defined, and let's say you have 25 or 20, let's say, that's one a month. One a day, every weekday, roughly for a month. And then inside here, let's say you were able to write 10 posts. Now you've got a post for every weekday for 10 months or almost a whole year, right? And so what we do, and if we go back to mine, because I just want to press on this a lot, because this is what we do with all our clients, is that if we go to this leadership as an art form, each of these posts here, which they are all pretty much talking about the same thing, every single one of them, and which is leadership as an art, right? That's what it's talking about. And all we do is we change the headline at the top of each one, and we recontextualize the content to that headline. And so if you ever read through, they all pretty much talking about the same thing. So we're not changing ideas all the time. We're just rewriting the same theme every time. And then a lot of the feedback we'll get maybe is that, oh, well, I don't want my followers to get bored. I don't want to keep sounding like I'm repetitive and all that sort of stuff. And the issue is that, like, you saying something once will never have every one of your audience figure that thing out and hit for them at that moment in time, because we only sort of like take on things that are relative at the time when we need it, right? If that makes sense. So when you start telling people stories around whatever the topic is, if you just say it once, you might get a couple people see it and understand it and be okay with it and absorb what you're trying to say. But there's thousands of people out there who won't get it at that time. So by repeating that message, you're going to say it to them as they need to hear it, right? And also, you're going to start to get known for things, right? You're going to start to be known for certain types of topics. And for me, leadership is one of them, things like that. So I harped on about that a little bit, but it's the way we use it to write content. We write one really good post. So we spend a lot of time planning headlines. Then we write one perfect post for every client. And if this is you do the same. You write a perfect post, right? So, and what I mean by perfect is that, like, as far as you can at that point in time, you write a really good post that hits all the notes that you want it to do. And so we've talked about post structure before in another video, but we go headline, subheading, challenge, solution, and then some form of question or call to action at the end of each of our posts. And you write a perfect one of those, and then all you do is, say you've got this perfect post sitting here, all you do is you grab that perfect post, you change the headline of it, paste it into here, and then recontextualize the post to that headline, and you've got a whole new post talking about the same thing, but it's a whole new post, right? So this is how we do it in here for writing content and all that sort of stuff. So that's our written stuff. Now, as you can probably imagine, with a written post in this sort of planning, it also works for video, right? So you can also take that conversation topic and turn it into the video planning that you might want to do. So you'll take that post, you can just read that post to camera. Doesn't always work because we write differently to the way we read, or that we speak, sorry. But you might take it and just sort of practice saying it, right? Reading that post out until you get it into a natural speaking way. So you're not only just getting 25 topics and stuff, you could get 25 video plans, and you can make a video about each one. And then you can interchange it between video and text depending on your strategy, right, that you're going forward with. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it. Other stuff that we've got in here is sort of like video production plans. So I'll go through quickly a little bit about this. So this is from an agency level, but just to give you inspiration from, like, if you're planning your own stuff, just some discovery stuff, like things about, like, that you need to ask for, like, you need some brand, you need to think about branding, you need to think about, like, where are you posting it, what music style, what core pillars, what content you like or you want to recreate or sort of emulate, some outcomes for ideation. So everyone is confident in what the client wants from our services. So what deliverables do we want out of it? Like, what assets do we want to create? Do we need stories for Instagram? Do we need reels for Facebook? Do we need TikToks? Do we need YouTube? Whatever it might be. Mood board, different sorts of mood board stuff, script questions that we have. We do storyboarding. So, what's the scene look like? So when we're planning a video shoot, that we have everything done. Shoot day, like having all your gear prepped, stuff like that. What's the editing look like? So we have it pretty mapped out so that every stage we know what we're doing. And so for someone like yourselves who might be doing stuff on your own, or you might have a small team doing it with you, you can think of, like, all the elements you need to hit. You might not go in as much depth as we do for stuff, but you can at least have a look at this concept and see, okay, am I doing all this? Like, do I know the mood or the feel or the look or the tone that I want to take with this video, or am I just making it up? Have I had to think about what do I actually need? And then as you go into it, right, you got these mood boards. So if you use something like Milanote, you can use this and it can give you inspiration, and you can start dumping files in it, and you can grab all your YouTube clips that you want to emulate and stuff like that, and you have this real visual representation of what you want to create, and it starts to spur on that creativity. So that's why we really like this as a tool. Just some other boards. This is another one we use, which I thought might be really helpful, is our question/briefing board. The colors correlate to the core pillars that we have. But what we do is we have the core pillar, the conversation topic, then we have a question. So the question is to prompt a response about the conversation topic, and we have a headline. And that headline is the hook. It's the first thing that we say. And so what we put in there is examples of what we do. But what essentially all you're doing is you're taking this conversation topic, right? You're taking this post that you've got, and you're figuring out, you're sort of playing Jeopardy. Like, what's the question that needed to be asked to get that answer? And then once you've figured that out, you figured out what is the question to give that answer, you can put them in here. And then when you go through doing a video shoot, instead of reading out verbatim what you've written, you can do it a bit more natural, right? You can just have someone ask you those questions that are on these boards, and you can just speak to the camera, or you can just do it yourself, right? Grab your phone, set your phone up, hit record, and just start answering the questions that are on your board, right? So it's one way that we do it with clients, and it works really well because not a lot of people are very good at reading things off camera. A lot of people are, reading things off a screen while they're on camera. Using a teleprompter is really hard if you haven't used one before. It's not an easy thing to use if you're not trained. So being able to just read a question and then answer it naturally is a really good way of getting yourself on video. And then what we do is we'll do it one take, let them say it out, and then we'll find ways we can help refine them, right? And we'll keep going back and trying to refine them further and further. So give them like 3 or 4 or 5 goes at answering the question until you nail it. For me personally, it takes me ages. It takes me like 10 or 12 takes before I get a good take of one video. But because they're only 30 to 60 second sort of videos, you can knock a whole bunch out in an hour, right? You can get 4 or 5 really good videos made within an hour. If you're better than me, you probably get 10, 12 done. So that's sort of like the thing with Milanote, and what I wanted to share today is that it's like limitless what you can do with it. Like, it's got heaps of options, and it's one of those tools that the more creative you are, or just like your specific niche that you're trying to solve for, it probably has an answer for it, or you just create the answer that you want. And because it has all these like sort of, it's got freedom, but it's got a framework to work around, right? It has like, as in the framework is you can only have certain things like notes, whatever, columns, boards, things like that. So it keeps you in some framework of like, okay, this is how I have to express myself on this platform. But then it also gives you freedom in that you can put them in any which way, right? You can arrange them in any way you want. There's no limit to how many you can have on a page. One of the coolest things about Milanote, which I don't know how they managed to do this, but there's unlimited storage space. So, you know, if you've got trouble with storage, you can just throw all your videos and all your pictures into this place, and you'll never run out of storage on it, which is amazing. And you can just download them all from there later on. So that's a real helpful tool. Just have all the photos and have all your videos stored directly on here. The one downside that I'll say that is probably the worst thing about Milanote, and it's probably a good thing to point out for some people, is that it doesn't have an offline mode. And so you have to be connected to the internet to use it, which is probably it can be a deal breaker for some people, because some people, you know, you might travel a lot and you might not have Wi-Fi or whatever, or you might want to be disconnected from the internet for some reason. Golf Grid or something can still do stuff, and you can't use Milanote for that, which is the biggest downside, I would say. But it's something that probably needs to be said for people who are thinking about this tool. There is no offline mode. You have to be connected to the internet to use this. And if you do disconnect from the internet, it'll just get you a circle of death spinning while it's trying to load it. So it's just something that won't work. Otherwise, you can't have access to any of your stuff. So that's a bit of a deal.
So it won't just upload when it hits Wi-Fi, just like that work won't be there.
Yeah, you just won't be able to access it. Yeah. So that's the one biggest downside for people. I mean, for us, it's not an issue because we work inside an office and we've always got it and whatnot. So it's still part of their development that they need to have that. And I think they just haven't figured out yet how to have, because multiple people are working on it. And so the syncing issues that might come from that, from that situation. So it's definitely needs to be said.
No, that's good to be. I think it's really good to know, because especially some of our users are rural. So they actually, their internet drops in and out all the time. So that would be something that you'd really want to, if this is you, and I know that some of you, I hope that, look, I would rather know ahead of time and, put some systems in place so that you actually are in a space that you can use it, or possibly it's not the right tool for you, and that's okay. There's
And
other
that's
tools
okay.
out there.
And that's okay. And look, the best way to do it, it's a good thing with Milanote, their free version of it is pretty good. Like, you don't get the unlimited storage and stuff, obviously. But I think that, like, from a free version, when you're just trying to figure it out, it has all the functionality that you need. Like, they don't limit you on the functionality in terms of like boards and templates and stuff. They just limit you in its usability with sharing boards and, all the stuff that you want it for a collaborative team thing.
Yeah, which should work pretty well for us, because a lot of our guys are one-man bands, or like, two people.
Exactly.
So, that might not be an issue for you guys at all.
Exactly, right. Like, that's what I think too. Like, it's, for a lot of people, it's like probably enough, the free version of it. So yeah, I would definitely give it a go and just see. Like, it's one of those things that with what's it called, with new tools. I've got some construction guests.
I know, you can tell. I'm like, you guys are always busy over there at the attention seeker. Look, it goes with the name, doesn't it? It comes with the territory.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, lucky we're coming to the end of this. The builders have started back. But yeah, like, as I said, it's a great platform. It's really good, like, for visual representation and for inspiration. And if you're not sure where to start, the templates are just like, they're worth their weight in gold, those things. So
I think that that's the coolest part, because when you go on some things and it doesn't have templates, even Canva, or if you're using, like Miro, or, if you go into, I think one of the most daunting things is you go into like Adobe Illustrator or something, and it's just like, oh, here's a board, do things with it. I thought I was creative until I came into here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get that. Really cool, those templates, and then giving you all the facets that you should think about when you go to put content out. For us that are beginners, I think that's a really great option, even if you don't use the tool to build your boards, but you use it as a learning platform to just see, how do I break content down? Like, say your internet isn't great, but you want to use some of the advice on here, you can make notes and take it to a different platform. You can still use, I know maybe that's double handling, but we kind of, I think we're resourceful as small business owners, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, you're right. I think just jump on the free version, look at the templates, and it might inspire you how to use Trello or whatever it is better.
Yeah.
We'll
probably do another session, a workshop on Trello with Hannah Morgan, who I want to organize my life, because she's the most organized person that I know. She specializes in organizing businesses. So she takes all of her stuff and goes, nah, we're going to make your systems better. This is not efficient. Look, I love people who are into efficiency, and she uses digital tools to do it. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
I want to thank everybody who's joined us here today. And I really want to thank you, Stanley, for all of the time that you've given to us this year here on Digital Boost. We're always so appreciative of the attention seekers' involvement in Digital Boost. You really add so much value to what we do here. So thank you. And for those of you tuning with us on social media, you'll be able to rewatch this once it kind of, what is that called? It's not finalizing, but it's called something. Once it does its thing, it'll be live. But for those of you that have tuned in with us on Zoom, sorry, Stanley, tuned in with us on Zoom, you'll receive this recording in an email later today.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been great.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Right.
Thanks, guys. Have fun today. See you later. Bye.